Dear friends, we have reached about halfway into the series on structural geology. In our previous episodes, we have discussed the basics of structural geology, the importance of unconformities, their definitions and use in structural geology. We have discussed products of ductile deformation, that is folds, and their mechanism. We have discussed brittle fractures or faults and the effect of faulting on the outcrops of beds. In this episode, we are going to start discussions on the minor structures that develop in a rock as a result of applied directed stress. In the next 3 episodes, we will be discussing foliations or secondary planar structures that develop in a rock, lineations, that linear structures that develop in a rock as a result of applied directed stress, and next episode we will be discussing the geometrical and genetic relationships between the foliations, lineations and major folds. In this episode, before we go into the description, classification, nomenclature and various types of foliations, let us first be very clear about what foliations are. Foliations, the name coming from the Latin folia meaning leaves, is a general term for any planar structure which is penetrative in nature. I hope you remember the term penetrative. The term foliations, that has been derived from the Latin word folia meaning leaves, represents any planar structure which is penetrative in nature, that is found or developed homogeneously in a body of rock. Foliations in general includes all planar structures, both primary and secondary, developed in sedimentary, igneous or metamorphic rocks. The bedding in sedimentary rocks, if it is developed in all possible scales, is also a variety of foliation. However, in this episode we shall be dealing mainly with the foliations that develop in a rock as a result of deformation, as a result of applied directed stress. The planar structures that develop in a rock as a result of folding or faulting during deformation, or more generally diastrophism. Foliations are structures, planar structures that are observed in almost all metamorphic rocks. Depending on the definition, how the foliation plane is defined, how they look like, they have been classified into various types. But before we go into the modern classification of foliations, let us look at the background first. A term almost synonymous with foliations in rocks is cleavage, or more specifically rock cleavage. The term cleavage has a meaning which includes the splitting up of a rock into more or less parallel planes. However, we must remember that all secondary foliations do not impart a property to the rock to cleave along parallel planes. Hence, though all rock cleavages are foliations, not all foliations are cleavages. We have to remember that. The foliations in the rocks are commonly referred to as S surfaces. All types of foliations, starting right from the bedding in sedimentary rocks, all foliations are referred to as S surfaces. The name S derives from the German term Schiefer meaning schist, though not necessarily all the foliations develop in a rock either in the primary stage or in the secondary stage, splits up the rock like a schist or a slate. The term S surfaces have stuck. Conventionally, the primary planar structure in a rock, or the earliest planar structure in a rock, is referred to as the S0 surface, while subsequent foliations that develop successively as a result of successive deformations are given the suffixes S1, S2 and so on. A foliation is usually defined by the planar arrangement of platy minerals, preferred orientation of platy minerals in a rock, or by irregular domains, as we will be seeing, or irregular domains of different materials like flaky minerals like mica or quartzo-feldspathic minerals. Foliations may also be defined by the concentration of differently colored minerals within a rock as a result of applied directed stress during deformation. We will be discussing the classification of foliation into different categories next. Foliation and cleavage is subdivided into different categories. The first subdivision is based on the spacing between individual planes. Foliations in rocks, especially secondary foliations, are usually defined by domains. Domains means areas where a preferred orientation of a particular mineral like the micas are found, or they have different grain sizes, or they have different compositional significance. In case of foliations, the size of the domains have an important role to play in their classification. If the domains, that is areas of a single mineral composition or structure, are more than 10 micron thick, the foliation is classified as a spaced foliation, where the difference between or size of the domains is less than 10 micron, or there are no domains at all. The foliations are known as continuous foliation. Spaced foliation is further subdivided into three categories. The three categories under spaced foliation are compositional, disjunctive and crenulation, while continuous foliation is subdivided into a coarse variety and a fine variety. Compositional spaced foliation can be further subdivided into diffuse and banded. The disjunctive spaced foliation may be subdivided into stylolytic, anastomosing, rough and smooth categories, while the crenulation cleavage can be subdivided into discrete and zonal types. Among continuous foliation or continuous cleavage, the fine variety can be further subdivided into micro disjunctive, micro crenulation and micro compositional, while the coarse variety has no other subdivision. In the next part of this episode, let us start discussing the different types of foliation or cleavage. Let us start with the compositional spaced foliation. Compositional spaced foliations are represented by distribution of different minerals having different colors, either very discretely into discrete bands or segregated bands. The discretely oriented white and dark colored bands developed as a result of deformation in a rock, generally found in high grade metamorphic rock like gneisses, are banded foliation, while the not so discrete distribution, a more random distribution of dark and light colored minerals, are known as diffuse banded foliation. Disjunctive foliations are of four categories. Basically, disjunctive foliations are those in which there are two distinct domains. One, called the cleavage domain, is dominated by flaky minerals, while the cleavage domains are separated by domains containing equigranular minerals like quartz and feldspar, and they are called microlithons. Depending on the boundaries of the cleavage domains and the microlithons, names have been given. In case of stylolytic disjunctive foliation, the cleavage domains are distinct but highly irregular. In anastomosing disjunctive foliation, the cleavage domains are interlinked, joining and branching out again, more close spaced, run for great distances and much less irregular than the stylolytic type, and they enclose lenticular domains or microlithons of equigranular minerals. In rough disjunctive foliation, the irregular nature of the cleavage domains have straightened up more, they are more closely spaced, separated by the microlithons, and in the last category, smooth disjunctive foliation, the cleavage domains are nearly straight, running for long distances and mutually parallel. Crenulation cleavage, as the name appears to be a misnomer, because at least for one type of crenulation cleavage, the rock does not have a tendency to break along parallel planes. Crenulation cleavage is a type of foliation, spaced foliation, that develops parallel to the axial planes of penetrative foliations in schistose rocks. The crenulation foliation may be of two types, one in which the platyminerals like mica, they are oriented parallel to the boundaries of the cleavage domains and are discretely oriented across the pre-existing cleavage plane that has been folded. In case of zonal crenulation cleavage, the orientation of the mica flakes are at an angle to the domain boundary, but parallel to the original cleavage plane that has been folded. Usually they form along the short limb of asymmetric kink folds and occur over a wide zone. As discussed earlier, continuous foliations have either no domainal structure or the size of the domains are less than 10 micron, and they are present only in very fine grained rocks. Apart from this classification of foliation, commonly accepted names of various types of secondary foliations are slaty cleavage, phylitic cleavage or phylitic structure, schistosity and gneissosity. Slaty cleavage, phylitic structure and schistosity are all secondary foliations of same type, varying only in grain size. The first stage in metamorphism of a clay rock, namely shale or clay stone, results in the recrystallization of the clay minerals or reorientation of the flattened mineral grains and development of a very close spaced, almost continuous foliation generally found in slates, which imparts to the rock a tendency to break along parallel planes, resulting in the development of slabs frequently used for roofing. The slaty cleavage, as the metamorphism progresses, the grain size becomes larger, the slaty cleavage passes on to phylitic cleavage or phylitic structure, where the recrystallization of pre-existing clay minerals have produced mica minerals like sericite, and a slightly coarser foliation plane has developed. The typical appearance of a phyllite is a silky appearance commonly known as the phylitic sheen. As the metamorphism progresses further, the grain size becomes coarser and the sericite flakes grow into larger mica and biotite flakes oriented mutually parallelly and separated by domains of quartzo-feldspathic grains, which are usually flattened. Thus, Slaty cleavage, phyllitic cleavage and schistosity, all these structures, they impart a tendency to the rock to split along parallel planes which are sharply defined, very close spaced, or slightly widely spaced and not so sharply defined. Gneissosity on the other hand is a typical secondary foliation developed in high grade metamorphic rocks, where the deformation and the geochemical gradient resulting from the applied directed stress forces some of the minerals to concentrate along certain zones within the rock. Thus, darker minerals like mica or amphibole or pyroxene, they concentrate along certain bands, while the light colored minerals like quartz and feldspar, they concentrate along alternating bands, giving a banded appearance to the rock. The gneissosity is necessarily found in high grade metamorphic rocks. At this point of time, it will not be irrelevant to discuss how foliations form in rocks. We will be discussing the relationship between foliation and folds in a later episode, but at this point of time it is better to understand the origin of foliations. Foliations, as you can see, are defined by either parallel alignment of flaky minerals or by the parallel arrangement of flattened normally equigranular minerals like quartz and feldspar, or by discrete planes which may be irregular, slightly curved or more or less planar. What happens is that in a original rock where there are pre-existing flaky minerals randomly oriented and some equigranular minerals, when this rock is subjected to a directed stress, there is a physical rotation of the pre-existing grains. The flaky minerals orient themselves to a position of greatest stability, which is always perpendicular to the direction of applied directed compression. While the platy minerals arrange themselves perpendicular to the applied directed stress, the equigranular minerals, they get flattened. It will be understood better when we study rock deformation in a later episode. The principle of flattening of a equigranular grain is known as Ricci's principle, where the side of the grain where there is maximum compression, the molecules are dissolved and deposited in a region where there is less stress. Thus, equigranular minerals become flattened and elongated, and their preferred parallel arrangement renders a foliation to the rock. If you remember the mechanism of fold formation, especially the buckle or flexure slip folding, where the directed stress responsible for the fold formation is applied parallel to the layering, the axial plane of the fold is naturally developing perpendicular to the applied directed stress, and the flaky minerals, pre-existing flaky minerals, get oriented parallel to the axial plane, and the equigranular minerals get flattened perpendicular to the layering. We have discussed in case of buckle folding how the circular markers put on an experimental material become flattened into ellipses, and the long axis of the ellipses are oriented in a radiating manner converging to the core of the fold. Thus, in case of buckle folds where layer parallel compression is responsible for the deformation, the flaky minerals get reoriented perpendicular to the layer parallel compression, and equigranular minerals get flattened and parallelly arranged in response to the applied directed stress and normal to. Thus, we develop the foliation, secondary foliation, parallel to the axial planes of the fold. We will take up this aspect of the relation between microstructures and major structures in a later episode. Thank you.